Coming up in today's show, Ice Cream Anyone? A stop by the recently extended Devon House ice cream parlor. But before that, the Inter-American Development Bank is helping to improve the lives of Jamaicans. We'll show you how. Plus, the estimates of expenditure for the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology. I'm Carrie-Ann Smith and you're watching Jamaica Magazine. Stay tuned.
Mommy?
Yes, Zoe?
Can we read this book? It will only take 10 minutes.
Sure, sit down. Every spring, Madame Angel Wing arranges a...
Do you have 10 minutes? Read with your child today. Reading with your children for just 10 minutes each day helps develop their language and listening skills, stimulates their imagination, and expands their understanding of the world. So, start reading with your child today.
Up next, the news of the week.
Hi there, I'm Simone Wolf with your JIS News of the Week. Trade, migration, climate change and skills training were among the topics discussed when Prime Minister Andrew Holness met with his British counterpart Theresa May this week. Prime Minister Holness also called on the United Kingdom to ensure that pre-1973 Commonwealth Caribbean migrants currently detained as illegal immigrants are released and have their cases urgently reviewed. The Prime Minister was in London for the 25th meeting of the Commonwealth Heads of Government. He also met with Prince Charles of Wales and had bilateral talks with the Prime Minister of Mauritius. Ahead of those talks, Prime Minister Andrew Holness attended the 8th Summit of the Americas in Lima, Peru, and said Jamaica was committed to fighting corruption with its international partners, especially as it relates to transnational crimes.
Organized crime affects us all, and Jamaica is currently engaged at the domestic and international level to find meaningful solutions to these issues.
Jamaica adopted the Lima Commitment on Democratic Governance Against Corruption. A stakeholder working group has been formed in the St. Catherine North Police Division to sustain the positive results of the state of public emergency in the area.
Building the peace is collectively all of us' responsibility. The declaration of the state of public emergency in the St. Catherine North Division have saved many lives and has created an opportunity for us all to build peace.
The state's drive to increase access to speedy justice was bolstered with the signing of an $846 million contract to expand the Court of Appeal building in Kingston this week. It was also revealed that more judges will be hired for the new courtrooms.
In this fiscal year, not only will you have the 12 judges, which means that you can have all 3 courts available to have 3 panels, but I want to announce that later in the year, the constitutional changes will be made so that retired judges who are available and can serve may well be invited to sit on some of these panels.
The next day, Minister Delroy Chuck handed over 2 new courtrooms at the Supreme Court. 2 elevators were also commissioned into service. Government has provided 2 fireboats to respond to blazes on ships, docks and shoreside warehouses in Montego Bay and Kingston.
Government is spending some $22 million to erect in Montego Bay at a cost of $14 million, and here in Kingston, $8 million to erect facility to house the men and women who will be working on these boats.
The local government minister also gave the brigade 2 new fire trucks and pumpers. The Santa Cruz Health Center has received close to $2 million of critical equipment to improve its diagnostic and vaccination services. The donation comes from the Public Sector Transformation and Modernization Office of the Cabinet and will also benefit the St. Elizabeth Health Department.
A nation is measured based on how it treats its most vulnerable. And the most vulnerable persons come to hospitals and health centers. And if it is that they're not getting the treatment that they came here for, then we would have failed them. And so as a country, we must take stock of how, as public institutions, we must ensure that we're delivering high-class service.
A contract has been signed to draft 7 technical papers to go towards the development of the island's National Spatial Plan.
The National Spatial Plan will ensure the optimal use of the nation's land and marine resources and outline the framework for their effective use and management.
The National Works Agency is now in the preliminary stages of work to rehabilitate the approximately 13-kilometer stretch of roadway between the Ferris Cross and Macfield corridor in Westmoreland. The $24.9 million project is being executed through the Major Infrastructure Development Program MIDP. And finally, the Alexandria Community Hospital in St. Anne has become Jamaica's second medical institution to be accredited as a baby-friendly hospital. It received the accreditation from the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, on April 12. And those are some of the stories making news this week. I'm Simone Wolf.
Did you know that since we started our Ease Up on the Energy campaign, that electricity use in government buildings has dropped by around 4,200 kilowatt hours per building per month? We retrofitted and replaced old, inefficient air conditioning units with new energy efficient models. That saved approximately $123 million for the government of Jamaica. What are you waiting for? I'm Hilary Alexander, asking all Jamaicans to join us and ease up on the energy.
Energy efficiency and expanded access to information and communication technologies are high on the agenda for the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology. They continue the work this financial year with a $4.7 billion budgetary allocation. Here's how they plan to use it.
We must ensure that we put in place the necessary support mechanism for us to attain our rightful place among the best in this world.
For the ministry to achieve its objectives, it has been allocated over $4.7 billion for the 2018-19 fiscal year. Additional funding will be coming from the government and their multilateral and bilateral partners. These were outlined in the 2018-19 estimates of expenditure.
Energy efficiency and conservation is key. For every dollar invested in energy efficiency, at least $3 are saved. This is important, especially in the context of Jamaica, an emerging economy seeking to create sustainable economic growth of 5% in 4 years.
That is why the ministry, through its Energy Efficiency and Conservation Program, will be developing national guidelines for disposal of hazardous wastes and retrofitting more public sector entities.
We want to create opportunities for young people in particular to gain the necessary skills.
90 schools will be receiving broadband and Wi-Fi connectivity, tablets, laptops and audiovisual display units. The ministry will also be implementing a public education and outreach program which will include student e-ambassadors.
Where we launch the energy management and energy efficiency program for the public sector that seeks to use the public sector as a vehicle to raise the level of awareness.
This is being funded through a partnership involving the government, the Japan International Cooperation Agency JICA, and the Inter-American Development Bank IDB. The International Postal System IPS will be launched during the 2018-19 fiscal year with funding from the Universal Postal Union.
We have to ensure that we create an educated society that can think outside of the box.
The ministry's Delivery of Technical and Vocational Education project will be providing secondary students with virtual classrooms to utilize ICT. This is geared towards improving the performance at the CSEC level. Rural householders will soon have affordable access to electricity as 15 kilometers of pole line extensions and 870 house wirings will be completed under the Electrification Services Project. $675 million is also being used to support the research and development efforts of the government.
We have a cyber incident response team within the Ministry of Science and Energy and Technology, and that cyber incident response team, CERT, is supported by our partners within the JCF and our international partners.
This team is being supported with a $30 million budget to ensure safety within cyberspace.
These are initiatives geared towards improving the lives of all Jamaicans.
Inform yourself about the HTLV1 infection. HTLV1 means human T-cell lymphotropic virus type 1. It's not the AIDS virus, but they are contracted in a similar fashion. You can get the virus from having unprotected sexual intercourse, getting blood that has the virus in it, breastfeeding, and sharing injection needles with HTLV1 infected persons. These are a few of the signs and symptoms of the virus: skin rashes, swollen lymph nodes, backaches, difficulty in passing urine, sensation in the feet, weakness in the legs, and reduced sex drive. If you have any of these signs or symptoms, you should see a doctor. For further information, please contact the HTLV Project, Department of Pathology at the University of the West Indies, Mona, Kingston 7 at 977-1958 or 927-1620-9.
The goal has been set. Jamaica, the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. The work has started, and we are getting help. Up next, how the Inter-American Development Bank is helping to make Vision 2030 a reality.
Developing a robust economy, enabling a thriving business environment, building resilience to climate change, protecting the most vulnerable in society. Some of the ways Jamaica's leading source of development financing, the Inter-American Development Bank, is working with the government to improve lives. The Inter-American Development Bank is strengthening Jamaica's economy by providing assistance to the government's economic reform program.
We started out on this journey 4 years ago with the 2013 IMF program, which had a very significant financing component to it. So part of it was funded by the IMF, part of it was funded by the IDB, part of it was funded by the World Bank. So we were three partners all helping Jamaica restructure its economy. That has been extremely successful, as you know. Jamaica sailed through that program, met every single target, all the reforms were done, and hence we see confidence coming back, not just domestic investors, but also consumers are starting to feel like, all right, things are happening in the country.
We borrowed $600 million in one single year. That year made us the largest borrower from the IDB. We put it in a range of very important projects that have been supportive of the government's reform program.
Micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, are the backbone of Jamaica's economy, creating an estimated 90% of new jobs. The IDB engages MSMEs through the Multilateral Investment Fund, MIF.
Primarily through providing access to finance to entrepreneurs and also to help them with their capacity building and to create an ecosystem in which they can thrive and do well.
Funding from the MIF was channeled through the Jamaica Stock Exchange to assist businesses such as CAC 2000 Limited to access equity capital through the junior stock market.
We are growing, we are trying to manage the growth. We are actually growing out of our establishment right now. We don't have enough space, so we're looking to expand as much as we can now.
Red Stripe's Project Grow, which aims to replace 40% of an imported raw material with locally grown cassava, has been boosted with a technical assistance grant of US $80,000 from the IDB.
We have 200 people now working under this project. If you take into consideration that you take an impact of an average of 7 persons impacted by every direct people employed, we're impacting almost 1,400 people in Jamaica.
Larger companies receive assistance through IDB Invest, the private sector arm of the bank. Investments are made in projects that will have a major development impact in the region and the country.
If you look at the Kingston Container Terminal project, for instance, we've provided almost 90 million in financing to that project. And the whole idea here is that with that investment, Jamaica can play a greater role in being a logistics hub and playing a role in international transshipment.
The IDB is helping to build Jamaica's resilience to climate change through the Pilot Program for Climate Resilience, PPCR.
We have right now 3 major projects that are being supported under the PPCR. The first one is on a national level, and that's the adaptation program and financial mechanisms. The second side of it goes directly into adaptation. And the third component of this is the financial mechanisms. And one of them is a line of credit that is being implemented by Jamaica National Group.
The owners of Forest Park Guest House and Farms used this loan facility to make their business more climate smart.
These ponds basically harvest the rainwater, and from that we can do whatever needs that the farm has.
The bank helps vulnerable Jamaicans through the Program for Advancement Through Health and Education, PATH, and the Citizen Security and Justice Program, CSJP.
I don't think I would have done so successful if I wasn't on the PATH program, knowing that the lunch that they provide for me every day, it helped me a lot knowing that when I have more food in my belly, it can help me to stay up more and study more for longer hours.
The IDB has been a supporting partner of the CSJP, a crime prevention initiative, since the program started 17 years ago. The various services offered by the CSJP have impacted several volatile and vulnerable communities across Jamaica.
We have a program called the Violence Interruption Program, which is implemented by PMI on behalf of CSJP. And we have seen communities or groups in communities that have gone into peace truce.
The Inter-American Development Bank continues to work with the Jamaican government to improve lives and help Jamaica to become the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
You know that weird feeling you get in your belly? Yeah, man, that strange, fluttery feeling like a little tickle traveling through your stomach. Well, there's a word for that, other than the butterflies, of course. You have the collywobbles. And just as I described before, it's that feeling of anxiety, fear, or apprehension. It also refers to intestinal cramps or other abdominal disturbances. Well, this reminds me of the Blue Mountain hike I have planned for next week. I'm getting the collywobbles just thinking about it. Collywobbles, flavoring this week's Saturday soup. After you've washed all the clothes, cleaned the house, drink off the big bowl of Saturday soup, wouldn't it be nice to end the day with an evening out with the family? If you're in town, I know a nice little place you can go. Watch this.
That's it right there, that's it. Oh, yes. Rum raisin, rum raisin.
Rum and raisin ice cream, one of the many Devon House ice cream flavors. The tasty treat is rated among the best in the world, and its ratings go up a notch when it's bought at the Hope Road spot. But there was one hiccup, the waiting time.
Definitely a good idea. It was congested, especially on a Sunday evening, but now we get through a lot more quickly, and it's less crowded, less congested. We got through in 3 minutes. At the other side, it took a longer time to be served, so it was definitely a good idea. I like it.
For some Jamaicans, a Sunday afternoon trip to Devon House for ice cream is the ultimate treat. If you haven't been treated lately, upon your next visit, you may probably scream in excitement. Not because you're about to indulge in your favorite flavor, but because the shop has been expanded, minimizing the time it will take to get the creamy delight into your hands. The bigger and newer parlor opened recently on the North Lawns, moving from its spot in the courtyard. The space, which now houses the 5,000 square feet facility, was created to address growing complaints about the wait time to purchase ice cream, especially on weekends and public holidays. The relocation project received $28 million from the Tourism Enhancement Fund.
The store that we were in before was a quarter of the size of the one that we are in now. We had long lines on a Saturday night and a Sunday night. So in order to make our customers be satisfied and comfortable, this shop was built, which is like 3 times the size of the old shop. When the shop was just opened, we were all excited, and we still are excited about this new shop. It has brought a different dimension to our whole business. We are able to accommodate more people. We used to have 4 dipping cabinets in the other shop. Now we have 7. So we can accommodate and serve people in a more efficient and faster manner. On a Sunday, which is our busiest day, I think that we have in excess of 1,200 people on a Sunday alone. And on a Saturday, which is the next busiest day, we probably have about 1,000 people. It was not easy in the beginning, but we eventually got the hang of it, and I think people are really satisfied with where we're at now. 3 times the amount of staff in this new shop. We have a nice big veranda.
On any given day, particularly on the weekend, there are groups of tourists traveling from the north and west coasts for the treat.
We're headed back to Montego Bay.
The dessert's popularity is no secret. Its name has gone abroad, written and told about over and over again. Each scoop helps to bring in well-needed foreign exchange.
This is delicious ice cream. This is a rum, raisin, and then coconut on top. It's a very rich and creamy ice cream. It's quite good.
Chocolate is my favourite. Never heard of Devon Stout before. This is my second time to Jamaica, so I thought, why not? Flavours, sugar, and there's a malty taste, which I'm assuming is from the Devon Stout.
I'm having cheesecake. Tastes very nice.
We make in all probably 30 flavours, but we don't have all 30 at one time. Depending on the season, we have maybe 20 to 25 flavours.
The expansion of the iconic ice cream parlor is part of efforts to bolster Devon House as the epicenter of gastronomy in Kingston and to enable the historic location to be financially sustainable.
It's always a nice treat. The setting is nice, the ice cream is superb. Here with family, my mother and friends, we're all here enjoying the afternoon. It's great because you have more space, because the other one, there was a queue that used to zigzag outside. At least if it rains here, we're inside, and it has a nice colonial feel.
Frustration has melted away as long waiting time no longer separates man or woman from getting their Devon House ice cream that brings out the smile not only in a child but adults too.
The issue of physical exercise in school is something that we will
be discussing with our JTA colleagues and teachers, because the challenge is when we look at the curriculum, as I've been explaining to persons, that we just have to be creative, because physical activity does not necessarily mean you have to have PE as a session or teach physical education. It is having within our school a culture that have physical activities for students and our staff members to do. Now, within the actual delivery of our lessons, how do we engender and promote physical activities, whether inside the classroom or taking our children outside the classroom? Even in terms of our assessment, how we promote play and activities as part of our instruction. So they are not separate, but they are complementary, because they are activities that students can do based on the direction we give them as teachers that can form part of our assessment regime. We have to organize for them to have a lot of physical activities at school and make learning fun. Of course, we can use the concepts of running or walking long distances and the lifting of weights to teach basic concepts about math and science. When we help our children to make the link, therefore, between the theory and the practical and the application, real education would then have taken place. Our classes and our schools are so boring. And the kids, so why do you think they're always want to go on and play computer games and all? They always want to play. Kids like to play. So that's why we're encouraging more of our schools to look at having some of the physical activities at all levels, right up to grade 13 and at the university. Over the past decade, in study after study in animals and people, exercise has been shown to improve the ability to learn and remember, memory. With our young people's preference for computer games and a more sedentary lifestyle, obesity and lethargy have increased among the youth. So in Jamaica, that is obviously becoming a problem. Exercising physical health is going to transmit to sound mind. Physical fitness, sound mind, learning is going to be far more optimized. And we as teachers and so on, not only are we going to be more energetic, we're going to be less miserable, more tolerant, more loving, and oh, happy we all will be.
That's where we leave you today for Jamaica Magazine. We'd love to hear what you thought of the show. Send us an email or visit our social media pages and drop us a line. Watch this and any other editions of Jamaica Magazine by visiting our website. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Carrie-Ann Smith. Have a productive day.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.